All right, well, if you're watching this, you probably made it through the video I put together on the legislative branch, which was Article 1. Today, we're going to take you through Article 2, which is, of course, the executive branch. I know in class we've gone through a couple days on learning about this. So basically, what we're going to do today is figure out exactly what the executive branch does. And so in terms of that, we're talking about the workings of that executive branch. And by that, we're pretty much talking about the president. And going through this, we're definitely going to look at the method of electing the president. You should know that it is not a direct election. We've created an indirect system to choose the president of the United States. Also, as we go through, we'll look at the powers and the actual duties of the office. So specifically, what is the job of the president? And then by the end of the video, you'll get a feel for how the presidency as its own entity has grown throughout the years. So without further ado, obviously, there are other presidents. You can pause the slide and take a peek at them if you want. Our latest being Barack Obama. And, within a few days here, as I'm taping this video, we're going to be electing a new president. Chances are it could either be Hillary Clinton or, of course, Donald Trump. So we'll see how that pans out. I'll have to fix the video once we get a new president, right? How do we elect the president? Basically, we have a system that was created by our founding fathers known as the Electoral College system. And basically what we do is in each state we are going to cast our votes or cast our ballots for a bunch of people known as electors. Then those electors are going to cast the actual votes for the president and vice president. So yes, our vote does not go directly to the president. Our vote goes to a group of electors who then choose the president and vice president. So once again, if our vote went directly to the president, that would be a direct election. This is an indirect system. What is that system? The Electoral College, right? What's a candidate need? Well, you need a majority of Electoral College votes to become the president. Notice what I've said. Majority of Electoral College votes. The popular vote simply does not matter. We like to look at a popular vote to see who the people wanted, and 4 times the president who was picked was not the person who won the popular vote, because that doesn't matter based on the Constitution. What matters is a majority of Electoral College votes. And based on the system that we have currently with our 50 states and 3 votes in the District of Columbia, the magic number is 270. If you get 270 Electoral College votes, you will become the president. That's the system, right? Each state is given as many electors as it has senators and House of Representatives. So if you're curious as to how many electors each state has, it's based on the amount of people they have in Congress. The 2 senators and as many representatives as they have, right? We know that we have 100 senators and 435 reps. There is 3 electoral votes given to the Washington, D.C. people. It is the 23rd Amendment. Maybe a nice, easy way to remember that. 23rd, 3 electors. 23rd, 3 electors. It might help you. All right. So how do we figure out how many representatives in each state? The Senate is equal. Everybody has 2, but we do every 10 years. The last one was done in 2010. Every 10 years we conduct a census. So we count the population of the nation. All right. So it is done every 10 years. It was last done in 2010. We will do it again in 2020. Changes are made in the number of representatives per each state. This also is going or could alter the number of electors in each state. So I'm going to give you the map here. This is going back. This is not the way the map looks today. But if we take a good look at New York at 31, Florida at 27, and then after the 2010 census, look what happened, right? New York, they had 31. Now we have 29 electoral votes. Florida was at 27. Now they have 29 electoral votes. So these orange states here, the population in these states is going down. So they're losing electoral votes. They're losing members in the House of Representatives. Well, there are things called population shifts. People are moving to these states down here. So Texas, they had 34. Now they have 30. They gained 4 members in the House of Representatives. They also gained 4 Electoral College votes. These numbers may also shift in 2020 when we conduct the census again. All right. Notice poor little States like Wyoming, right? They only have 3 electoral college votes. It's kind of sad for them, but no one's going to campaign over in Wyoming. They're in the middle of the Rocky Mountains, all right? You got to get a magic number of what? 270. I'm going to go to California. I'm going to go to Texas. I'm going to go to Florida. I'm going to go to New York. These ones here in the 20s. Ohio's pretty big in 18. The Carolinas down here. I want to maximize my numbers. You don't see too much campaigning out here because, even right here, you're only getting 3, 6, 9, 12 votes. You got to get 270. You got to win these states, the big ones, okay? So once again, you'll see those shifts. You got the 2 maps, and there it is, right? There's a bunch of people who want to get rid of the Electoral College system. So there's reasons to keep it, and there's reasons to get rid of it, right? What are the reasons to get rid of it? First of all, it's a winner-take-all system. So, when we said that New York has 29 of those votes, whoever gets wins the vote in New York, they're going to get all 29. Right? We don't split those up. The winner takes it all. The winning candidate gets all the electoral votes in each state, even if the vote was close. So let's say this next election we're looking at, Hillary wins New York by a score of like 60% to 40%. Trump doesn't get 40% of our votes. Hillary's going to get them all. Right? That's what they mean by winner take all. All right. 4 times there's been 4 instances in our history, 4 elections, where the winner of the popular vote did not become the president. Why? What do you need? Those people did not have the majority of electoral college votes. As we go through the history in future videos, we'll be looking at each one of those elections so you can see specifically what happened. Okay? In most states, here's the other reason to change it. Here's another reason why people are a little mad. The electors are not required to do what the people want. So even if, let's say, Hillary won New York 90% to 10%, the electors do not have to vote for her. Technically, they can give all of our 29 votes to Donald Trump. So really, it's a system that was put in place, and they don't have to listen to the people. All right? So those are reasons to change it. What are some reasons to keep it? Number one, it's so difficult to change the Constitution. It's pretty difficult. Also, small states are going to lose the advantage that they have in being overrepresented in the Electoral College. So small states actually have an advantage in that Electoral College. They are given more electors based on their population in terms of the large states. Changes to that Electoral College system might threaten the 2-party political system. Right now we have 2 major parties and a bunch of other third parties. When we look at who wins elections, you got to be a part of either the Democrat or the Republicans. If not, you kind of don't have a shot. Okay, I don't see that as a bad thing. Maybe we need to shake up the 2-party system, but for right now, it's here to stay, and there it is. All right. So moving forward, we're going to look at the presidential role and presidential powers. What is the job of the president, and what powers does he have or she have? Could be a she, right? He is the chief executive. What does that mean? In this role, the president has the power to enforce the laws of the country. Congress makes the laws. He makes sure the laws are being followed. That's his chief job and his chief executive. He also is the leader or the administrator of a very huge federal bureaucracy. By the end of this presentation, you're going to see some slides on how big the bureaucracy of the presidency has become. Really, it started out with 2 people, right? The president and the vice president. Today is very huge, so you'll get to see that. He can issue what's known as an executive order. So if Congress isn't doing something or he feels something needs to be done, he can just do it. And that has the effect of an actual law. Some presidential executive orders have been challenged. Some have been accepted, and you know what? He's running the country. That's what he feels we need to do, so we do it. All right. The other thing that a president can and does do as the leader of the country or the chief executive, he can appoint judges. He can appoint diplomats to other nations. He can appoint some high government officials, maybe members of the cabinet. Some of those people he does appoint needs the Senate to approve them. Others do not. I mean, he can kind of pick who he wants and put them in those particular jobs, right? He does not need permission to remove an appointed government official that he has appointed and the Senate has approved. He put them in there, he can pull them out, and he can put someone else in. So he can do that. All right. What are some of the other roles? He is the chief diplomat. Now, when you think of diplomat or diplomatic relations, you got to think about the countries here, right? He's the one who makes treaties. As long as the Senate agrees to them, he makes the treaties with other countries, right? He can make executive agreements with nations without Senate approval, but a treaty, an actual treaty, he needs that approval, right? He can extend or withdraw diplomatic recognition or relations to a nation. Nixon was famous, and we didn't talk to China for 40 years, and Nixon decided he's going to go there and talk to him. He didn't ask for permission, he just went, all right? Two other jobs that he has. He is the commander in chief. Now, I know that we discussed Congress before. All right? Congress has some military powers. Congress determines how big the military is, how much money is spent on those, on the military or the armed forces. Congress also declares war. All right. What can the president do? He determines when the troops go somewhere, when they come back. He determines what weapons are used, what methodologies are used. To use nuclear weapons or not. That's a presidential decision, right? So the president's military powers, we say they are shared with Congress. But in times of war, his powers or the presidency actually grows. Because we're at war, Congress says, hey, go win the war. And they give him more latitude to do what he needs to with the military, all right? The role of chief legislator. Now, the president cannot make laws. That is not his job. But can he recommend them to Congress? Can he say, hey, our country needs this. We need you guys to work on this. So here you go. It is still up to Congress whether they make that law or not. Because once again, what's their job? They make the laws. If there's a particular law that Congress would like to enact that he doesn't like, he's certainly in his power to veto that law. And that means that he does not like it for a variety of reasons. All right. His judicial powers, what can he do? President can grant reprieves and pardons. I know we defined them in class. I hope you're clear on those. A reprieve is a postponement of a sentence, and a pardon is an official forgiveness. I mean, you've done something wrong, but nothing will happen to you. Right? If you get that presidential pardon, you do not have to go to court. You do not have to go to jail. You're forgiven. So if you get jammed up, call the president. He can do that for you. You can do that for an individual, or once again, it says here, he can give pardons to whole groups of people. And there was a bunch of presidents famous for this. After the Vietnam War, there was a bunch of guys who evaded the draft. They were asked to fight for their country, and they didn't. What presidents does, Gerald Ford in particular, and even Nixon got into this to an extent, was give these pardons. Say, hey, we're going to give you guys a break. No penalties. We know you didn't go and fight, but you're okay to come back to the country. He's also the head of the political party. He's the leader. So anything involving those political parties, people go to him. All right. Let's talk about the bureaucracy now. Bureaucracy is kind of a fancy word. I can't spell it, so it might be tough for you guys to get it through. A bureaucracy, or the bureau of the federal government. You see that term, bureau. This is the administrative agencies and the staff that put these decisions and policies into effect. When we say the president enforces the rules, it's not him on a daily basis doing that, but it's those other agencies who do that for him under his direction. All right. So most of the bureaucracy consists of the executive branches. Here we go. He has a White House staff of individuals, press secretaries, aides, tons of people who help him run the office of the presidency. Officially, there are 15 executive departments. This is known as the President's Cabinet. Along with that, there's over 200 independent agencies. Some of the names you're going to know that you're familiar with. Other ones you're like, what the heck do them people do? You're not quite sure, right? So I got a couple charts for you to follow, and we're pretty much done with the presidency in terms of understanding what they do based on the Constitution, right? The government under the United States and under the Constitution is pretty simple. I mean, it's big. So Congress, we talked about congressional powers. Judicial branch will be in my next video. And then you got here the president and the vice president. So there's the office. There's the office of the vice president. There's spending money, economic advisors, the NSC, which is the National Security Council, right? And then you got a whole host of other things, right? That's just kind of the executive branches outlying agencies that help them, right? Officially, you better know the cabinet. Right, there are 15 cabinet positions, all of which are listed. The first four, of course, were Department of the Secretary of the State, the Department of Justice, the Secretary of the Treasury, and the Attorney General, which is hanging out. Where's she at over here? Department of Justice. There it is right there, Attorney General. The 15th and final cabinet position was created, of course, after September 11th. That is the Department of Homeland Security. All right, so those are all aides, they're advisors, official department cabinet members. They advise the president on all of those issues. Once again, each one of those people, the heads of those departments, is picked by the president, but confirmed by the Senate. Know that cabinet for sure. The last thing, if I can go back here, here it is. You need to be aware of the 200 also independent agencies that make up the federal presidency. There's a bunch of them, right? This one you might know. I could have put the little acronym there for you. CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. There's the Consumer Product and Safety Commission. And basically, they investigate products that people are making in factories and making sure they're what for our country. Safe, right? Safety Commission. A lot of power in this institution down here, right? This agency. The Environmental Protection Agency. They got a lot of power. They're keeping our air cleaner and our water cleaner so that we have a good planet, right? As we continue, if you got your money in the bank, if you walk into the bank, you might see the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, created during the Great Depression by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Keeps your money safe. Even if the bank closes, you're going to get your money back, all right? The FTC, Federal Trade Commission, right? Works on issues in the country in terms of trade between states, in terms of trade with other countries. Huge administration, right? You may probably already know this one, right? NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, that runs our space program, which hasn't been doing much as of late, but I mean, that costs a lot of money to run that, right? National Labor Relations Board, labor relations. Think about that in terms of minimum wage laws, working conditions, and things like that, all right? There's the Security and Exchange Commission that watches over the stock market, and then it's been in the news constantly lately. Social Security Administration. Is that money going to be there in 30 years when you get older? Right now, probably not. Somebody's going to have to fix and reform Social Security. So when you look at the presidency, it's not just the president and the vice president. You're looking at the president office and the people who are inside the White House aiding the president. You got 15 cabinet positions that are officially helping the president. And then you have, I mean, these aren't 200, but this is just kind of a list of the big ones, over 200 independent agencies that pretty much take care of issues within the nation. And once again, the fancy word for that is going to be the federal bureaucracy. Stay tuned to future videos as we go through our history. We'll be looking at the presidency and how it's unfolded and how it's gotten stronger throughout the years. So good luck, and I'll see you soon.